If you say 3, mister, you'll never hear the man count 10.
Hello vinyl community, Baraka P-Dub here, or Paul. I'm here to do a video for my friend Brad at H2Vinyl. Brad has been with me for a very long time now, and you know, I was one of his earliest adopters, and he extended his contest out by a week, which allowed me to do this. At first I didn't think I was going to be able to do this response. I do struggle at times because there's a lot of contests that I'd love to participate in. It's just the amount of time that I have to actually put together a well thought out video, which I prefer to do. But anyway, if you're not familiar with H2Vinyl, here's a sample of what his channel's about. So Brad asked 3 questions, and this past week things clicked with me, and I thought about how I would approach this one. And so his first question is to show albums or feature albums that show narration. The easiest thing to do would be to show a hip-hop album, and you know, I'm not the biggest hip-hop collector, but a lot of hip-hop albums feature a skit or a narration that acts as a transition between songs and is usually a part of a larger narrative. I decided not to go that route. I decided to show some things that are a little bit different. So the first band that I want to show you is the St. Petersburg band, and they, I would say that they harken back to surf rock, and that's really their approach to things. And they are Messer Chups. And they've had several albums out. They've been around, I want to say, for close to two decades. The first track features narration coming from a Russian overdub of a French movie called Fantomas. And the song is Fantomasophobia. Now, Fantomas is a classic French comedy that I haven't seen yet, but I really want to check out because I love the main actor that's in the movie. Anyway, most of this album is banned, or I'd say all of it is banned on YouTube, and I'm hoping I can squeak by with this one sound sample. These guys are just fantastic, so if you see one of their albums, definitely pick it up. But here's the sound sample.
Добрый день. Я так рад этой встрече.
Next one uses bits of educational and exploitation films about a nuclear holocaust, and this is from a compilation called Moments in Time. And the song is by an artist named Ben Morris. This song, I don't even want to pronounce it, so I'm just going to put it down below. It came from a 7-inch, and this is the only thing that I could find on Discogs that Ben Morris has ever done. But this is just a fantastic song. I think it uses samples from like a James Bond movie. In fact, I'm pretty sure it does. but it's a nice mix of samples. There's some vinyl static that they put in the background, and I just think that really works well for this particular song. It just, you know, gives it an overall vintage vibe, which I enjoy. This is a very interesting comp. I do recommend it if you can find it. It's particularly rare. Make sure I get it in frame here so you guys can see it, and sorry for the window glare there. But anyway, here's the sound sample.
As I was saying, I wouldn't worry nearly as much about the atom bomb if it were to kill you right out. What scares me is that awful gas that the farm...
Alright, the last thing I have to show you is the Something Weird comp that is put out by Modern Harmonic. This is a nice gatefold. This uses soundtracks that from exploitation movies, B-movies from the 60s and 50s, and you know, each song has a narration lead-in. This is just, you know, a wonderful comp, and you know, the music really isn't that bad, so it's just a fun listen. You know, it's not essential, but you know, if you're into soundtracks, yeah, this one is definitely worth picking up, but here's a clip from this one.
Come to the pink pussy, where sin lives.
Alright, so Brad's next question was show 5 albums that you've never shown before or you haven't featured in a long time. With my video making pace, yeah, there's a lot that I haven't shown. So I just decided to grab 5 albums that I've been spinning recently. Maybe sometime when I get the time, I can get back into doing the recent spins where I could show 5 albums that I picked up and, you know, try and do a sample where I can. But anyway, the first album is a relatively new discovery for me. It is a wonderful melange of psychedelic music mixed with jazz. There's some experimental pieces to it. You know, it's sort of like if Jefferson Airplane got into spiritual jazz. What would that be like? And the band is called the Heliocentrics. They have several albums out. They have a new one which I do have on CD. I think I'm going to pick it up on vinyl. But this is, you know, The World of Mass, A World of Mass, and this is 100% solid all the way through. So if you're enticed by that description, grab this album. You know, I think, yeah, this one is a limited edition run. And you know, if it really picks up, I think it's going to be gone. I think it's going to be hard to find in the future here. So I do want to play a couple cuts off of this one. So here you go. Alright, the next one is a Turntablist Sampler from Poland, and you know, he's sampling these jazz soundtracks, and it just, the way he mixes things, it just sounds original. And now I might butcher the name of this one. Emapea, Seeds, Roots, and Fruits. If you're into sampling, if you're into jazz, it has a hip-hop vibe without the rapping associated with it. I think you might enjoy this. This is another one that I've been playing all the way through. I don't really find a clunker on there. It's also good to have in the background. I play it in the background while I'm working, and I just find it fantastic. So here's a couple samples from this one. Next one is a recent soul find. It might make my top 20 of 2020, I don't know. I am just surprised that this guy hasn't made it with a major label yet. And this is TEMU, Relic of the Mothership. And look, try and get out of that glare for you. Whew. Yeah. Anyway, it's like it takes little bits of funkadelic. There's 80s soul in it. I can't recommend it enough. So here's a couple cuts off this one.
I got it like some heavy artillery, garlic remedies, necromancy abilities, interstellar technology, black magic and sorcery. Every man for himself now. Then I'm ready now. Oh, scavengers, yeah. Scavengers. Search is over. A fragment of the past. Oh, a distant domain. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A relic of the mothership.
All right, next up is an Americana folk artist that released her debut album in 2019, and that is Vera Sola. Rolling Stone called it what Quentin Tarantino soundtracks were made for. I hate that quote. I'm going to say it right out. But yeah, you could see it in a Quentin Tarantino film. It's like, yeah, you can see a lot of things in Quentin Tarantino films. But yeah, this is, you know, I like the way that she recorded this album. It feels like she put a lot of reverb in. I'm sorry, I like reverb on things. Very slow and melodic. Anyway, here's a couple of cuts off this album.
These are the sorrows that you've saved. All possibilities you scramble to upstage. And when I found myself a new world, sailed around its ring. I wrought myself.
Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is going to appear like a total U-turn from everything else that I've just shown. But yeah, at least in my head, it's kind of radio schizophrenia. I'm playing all kinds of stuff. This is analogous to Gwar, the metal band that, you know, they dress up in costume. They're not, I want to say they're not quite as heavy, but they are heavy metal, so to speak, but they bring in melodies like Queen, and it's just so bizarre, but for whatever reason it works. They all dress up as Yetis, and it is People Mover. And this is their album, The Chosen. They did a concert at Amoeba. I just found it so interesting, and it's like when I heard about this coming out, I had to grab it, and really it's actually, it works. So I know metal is not everybody's thing, but this is really kind of an interesting album. So here's a couple of cuts off this one. So Brad's last question was, talk about an artist that you appreciate, but you don't have anything in your collection. And this one was really hard for me to answer because normally if I really like something, I will pick it up, and you know, it may not be the artist's album. I might have it on a single. So this is kind of a cheat because yeah, I do have one song by the artist that immediately came to mind, and that's the 13th Floor Elevators. So yeah, their debut album I've always wanted, but I just haven't succumbed to buying the reissue. I'd love to own an original, but they're impossible to find, and they're way more money than I care to spend. But I do appreciate the lead singer, Rocky Erickson. I've seen him interviewed several times, and I would just love to have that album. I just haven't bothered to pick it up yet. But anyway, that's my response, Brad. You know, with that, you don't even have to put me in the contest. That's okay. I'm just having to do a response for you, and I'm hoping to guide more people to your channel. For my viewers, please forgive my raspy voice. I've come down with what I hope is a cold, and so I'm trying to lie low because yeah, the coronavirus has hit my area, and I guess you really don't want to get that double whammy effect. So anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully the next video I do, I won't sound like this. So I'll catch you next time.